All right. Hey, welcome to the Go for CEO channel, everyone. And boy, do I have a special guest today. I am super excited because, I was able to interview the CEO of Uptown Creation. And after we had this incredible, dialogue and finding out what made Uptown Creation with him and his partner, I said to him, hey, real casually, hey, is there anyone in your office or in your team that you would recommend? I'm also trying to interview intrapreneurs because we interview CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, and today's the first one, the first intrapreneur. I'm excited because being a girl dad of three girls, I want to hear from this unbelievable lady that's crushing it at Uptown Creation and what she's all about. So, hey, by the way, remember to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment for Kelly. Okay, she's going to be so interactive today. Thank you so much, Kelly. But I'm excited to have her on. And without further ado, Kelly, welcome to the Go for CEO channel.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you, and really just a different perspective. I hope this is one of those videos that goes viral so that people can really understand you don't necessarily have to own the company, but you do have to treat it as if you own it to be successful, I think, in any role that you have. And I know we talked a little bit offline that in my positions that I've been, a job person, when I've had a corporate job, I've always tried to treat it that way so that I can share with my constituents or people that work with me or colleagues or upper management, all that type of stuff. But tell us a little bit about you, about your background, kind of how you flourished through school and everything to get to where you're at now.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that this kind of is all timing out the way it is. So I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Really bad year to be a Steeler fan. And I went to school at Ithaca College for acting. So I have my BFA in acting, and that's like my passion, 100%, all day, every day. That's all I think about doing. Then, of course, COVID hit. And just before that, I was starting to get some traction with television and some more film stuff. And that was, really scratching that itch for me. And then, of course, we all had to hunker down and be safe. So during that time, trying to make some silly videos and keep myself entertained and make my friends laugh. And for whatever reason, my dad watched one of my videos and he was like, there's this company that I work kind of tangentially with who's looking for someone who has some sort of performative aspect to kind of step into a role that doesn't yet exist, but they're hoping to kind of create it.
Hmm.
So I was like, all right, well, sure. I'll see what they're all about. And he was like, and they're a young company. I think they think the same way you do. I think you'd fit right in. So I had a quick interview and really got along. I had it with Connor, of course, and our CEO, Austin. And we, hit it off right away. And basically, I'm kind of like the tour guide of the company is how I often joke about it. Like I walk people through kind of the back end of things, and I get to be the person that meets every single, lead that comes in, which is really exciting and entertaining. I get to meet a lot of cool people. I get to, try to give energy and make people laugh and smile throughout the day. So it kind of taps into my acting background. It taps into just my desire to, I guess, perform and be in front of people, but it's also challenging me in a way that is really, really fun. Before this, like, I didn't even know what Q1 meant, like nothing. I knew nothing about the corporate world. I really was coming in blind, but kind of being thrown into this has forced me to learn pretty quickly. And it's so exciting. I can speak in like corporate acronyms now. Who knew that I could create a sentence with barely any words? It's just initials, it's just letters, but I can do it now.
That's right. Everything's an acronym: ROI, COI, CEO.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's wild.
I'm sure Uptown's got its own, favorite abbreviations of acronyms of stuff. So really cool. So you have this passion. Did you have it as a child, as far as just the acting? Did you do plays? Obviously, you go to Ithaca University and start to develop this powerful messaging inside of yourself. Take us a little bit back, just to kind of place then how the role that you have kind of really intertwines, between that.
Yeah. So I definitely started acting when I was young. There was this girl in the third grade class that was so pretty and she had the best hair. And I was like, I need to be best friends with that girl. And it turned out that she did this like after school acting theater program thing. So I went home to my dad and I was like, I have to be a part of this acting thing because you know what that means? Carpools. And you know where the people become best friends? Carpools. So started the theater program, started carpooling with this girl. She's still my best friend to this day, and she's now a nurse. And I continued into the acting realm. So did a bunch of musicals and plays when I was young. I graduated 2015 from Ithaca, so I've been in New York City ever since. And since I've been in the city, have kind of transitioned to more on camera, which is kind of again aligned pretty perfectly with this whole going virtual thing. I still get to have these awesome. We have really good core team meetings every Tuesday at Uptown with just kind of the six of us that are the higher up, so to speak. See, I don't even think of myself as a higher up. I keep going like this. Got to change that. Um, but we, so with them, I get to be, fully myself and just hanging. But they're, when I'm on these demos and I'm, talking to our clients and our leads, I do get to, be energized and be on camera, so to speak, which kind of aligns pretty perfectly.
I love it. And what's the actual role, or I'm sorry, the position? What's it called?
Yeah. So again, it didn't quite exist, and when they offered me this role, they said, "Hey, we need you to kind of take over one part of or two parts of two other people's jobs and turn them into one, and then
Hmm.
giving me a couple extra responsibilities on top of that." So when they offered me this job, they said, "Let's call it a business development manager or something," and I for whatever reason, I was like, I don't want that. I want to make my own title. And they were like, great, let me know what you think. So I thought back to like the most inspirational and influential like women in my life, and one of my survival jobs when I moved to the city was being a server. And I served at this restaurant called The Smith, and it's a corporate restaurant. And this woman, Jen, was like my go-to gal. She was amazing. She made me feel so good, so, included, so supported. And her title was the director of operations. So I emailed and I said, I want to be the director of operations. And they said, that sounds great.
Love it, right? And you know what? And you added a little bit of a sprinkle there. You had to serve, kind of in that traditional sense of people trying to pursue the film and acting world, right?
Yeah.
So you were kind of in that path, but then you get pattern interrupted by your dad, and he finds this opportunity, which is so cool.
Yeah.
That you guys had that relationship that he could share with you a cool opportunity. You shared a little bit that you guys kind of hit it off with the CEO and the founders, right? Connor and everybody. So tell us those first kind of 90 days. What did you start feeling? Because it seems like it wasn't necessarily that you came from other corporate worlds. You kind of got put into this atmosphere, and it's a really unique type of business with the lead generation, LinkedIn, kind of using these revenue sources and everything. So tell us those first 90 days and what did you start seeing from your own eyes of how you could own it?
Yeah, I mean, it probably doesn't sound as thoughtful or smart, for lack of a better term, as maybe I want to be coming off. But I think there really is truly an element in my case of fake it till you make it. I'm a very observant person. I sat back and I watched and I listened a lot, and I tried to absorb as much information as I could. And there was a part of me that just decided that, hey, these people trust me enough to put me on the core team without really knowing me and without me having this background. So if they trust me, then I've got to trust myself too. Like I've got to trust this. So, certain questions that I didn't know exactly what the answer would be, I just decided I'm going to make this answer and I'm going to decide that this is protocol now. And, I'm going to say if there's X number of meetings that are missed, that's when I, decide that you're no longer a fit or something like that. So I just kind of started making these kind of, I guess, smaller decisions as I went. Um, and then, of course, checking in when I was not entirely sure that that was the best route, or tossing it to our COO Erin is kind of my go-to. She's the best and really really supportive. Um, So, I throw things to her and bounce ideas off of her, but she continuously, and the rest of the team continuously, make me feel really supported and trusted. So I certainly, made a lot of calls, and some of those stuck and cemented in. And some of them we, sparked really good conversations, and we got to decide as a team what to do moving forward. Um, I'm actually, what's today's date? The 29th. My 90-day mark is actually in 4 days. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
really new to the company. So I'm still in this position of, making these decisions, being on the fly, and just trusting myself as much as my coworkers seem to trust me.
That's awesome. Well, I didn't even know that. So that's
Yeah.
a really cool thing. And I think Go for CEO community, you're hearing a perspective, right? Someone that comes into a different atmosphere, has a little bit of this background that's totally different, but still uses those attributes, those passions inside of her to become like self-aware of where she's at, what she's about to do, and about to hit the 90-day mark. But, I always affectionately like to say whenever I've been in management and I share with people in a corporate style, I said, look, sometimes you just have to do something and hope to just get slapped on the hand, right? So,
Yeah.
and said, hey, maybe you shouldn't have done that way. But, I love that you took control.
Mhm.
You adopted the intrapreneur mindset, that you saw this incredible business and you really start to make decisions, and then you check in with the COO, right? And you guys become tight. You get
Mhm.
to learn her atmosphere. So tell us a little bit about maybe like one or two things that you maybe tweaked compared to what they were asking you to do, and how you owned it, and then came back and said, hey, what do you guys think about this? And, shared with or did what you do.
Yeah. I think the first thing that comes to mind is kind of the script that I follow during these demo calls. There was a certain way that things were done before I joined the team, and I just, watching a million demos be done, of course I was like, this is great. Erin's doing an incredible job. She's so great. It just wasn't exactly my voice. So I
Mhm.
figured, if we're selling this idea of lead generation that is in the client's voice, then my voice should also be heard. So I would go to them with, I think one of the things I asked was if we could change a couple of the scripts that we showed them for certain reasons. There was a certain wording that stood out to me, and just again being observant and shadowing a bunch of demos before I started doing them, I would notice people's heads would turn or their body language would shift during these certain moments, and I would think, I wonder how we can optimize that, because it doesn't
Mhm.
seem like they're responding well to that. Which again, I think goes back to my acting training. Is we were for 4 years, I basically stared at other people and decided what they were feeling, and so that's turned out to be pretty helpful. So we made a lot of changes to the script, and to kind of the visual aspect of the script. Which I tried to spearhead as much as I could. I also, during one of our core meetings, they were talking about how we collect testimonials, and I really like editing. I like making videos. Again, like I like trying to make people laugh and being silly, and so I make lots of silly character reels and all these things. And I was thinking, what do people like to see? They like to see something that's genuine and something that's in the moment. People don't like scripted as much these days. So I tried to offer some suggestions on, how do we collect these testimonials that doesn't make it very clear that we message them and said, hey, will you please send us a testimonial? Can it be 60 to 90 seconds? Can you answer these questions?
Mm.
How do we make it more genuine and authentic, and take up less of the client's time? And luckily my team was really responsive to that too, and we're still in the midst of figuring out exactly what to do on that. But that was something that I was excited to jump in on, and felt like they would be responsive if I tossed in my ideas.
Wow, man. Two amazing areas that you really affected, right? They always say, a script kind of puts you in a box, right? And gets you, gets you focused on something, but then to own it, which is what you just did, was pretty awesome. And then to also develop, a little bit of a scenario where you're kind of putting yourself in the client's, steps or shoes per se, and then saying to yourself, wow, how would I react to share, my story of how I actually felt good about doing business with Uptown Creation, but make it genuine. So, wow, kudos to you. I mean, are you sure it's 90 days or 9 years that you've been with
Oh,
Uptown
sometimes
Creation?
it feels a little bit of both, that's for sure.
That's awesome. I love kind of just the geniusness of how you've put what you had a passion for, what the role became, how you describe the role yourself. You put a title to it, and then you owned it, right? You took two different areas that really made an impact. So tell us about, do you have employees under you, or how's your role right now? Is it just a sole role, or do you have kind of a management role?
Yeah, so it's funny. I was just talking to Aaron about this the other day. Um, we have kind of a sales team that is, I guess, below us in terms of the core team. There's about 6 of us on the core team and about 7 salespeople.
Hmm.
Um, and it was so funny because for whatever reason, I just didn't think about the fact that the sales team defers to me if they have a question. And so we're all, all 13 of us are in one group chat. And oftentimes, our sales team will ask, hey, just got a question from this question from a lead. How have we handled this in the past? Blah, blah, blah. And I wait until, Connor or Aaron or someone else answers the question. And I remember there was a text that came in, and I was like, wait, well, I know the answer to that. And so I answered, and I was like, wait a minute, they trust my judgment. And it was just, not in the sense of doubting myself necessarily, but just, again, kind of being thrown into things and just going with the flow. I just never really thought about a hierarchy. And I still don't know that I really think of it as a hierarchy, but just in terms of trusted information and the sources of that. And then I started, reaching out to, our sales team if they sent someone to me for a demo and something specific happened, I'd send a voice memo back, just letting them know what the next steps were. And I, try really hard to always just tell them how much I appreciate their hard work and that, wow, your call notes are so good, or like, damn girl, you've booked a lot of demos this week, like you're killing it, or whatever it is. Um, and I didn't necessarily know the impact that was having. So I told Erin, I was like, wait a minute, do they trust me? Do they think I know things? And she was like, yeah, Kelly, yeah, because you do.
That's
So it's honestly been kind of a recent revelation. So I wouldn't necessarily say they're just below me, but they still do kind of trust my judgment and defer to me for things, which feels really good. And it makes me want to do better at my job when I know that people are depending on me, and appreciate when I can do my job well and make their jobs easier.
for sure. No, and you really kind of described the difference between management and leadership,
Hmm.
right? In management, you might get that title, but people aren't respecting because you're not really putting in the right effort. Where leadership, like you just did, right? You put in, you're like, well, I experienced this. I'm going
Hmm.
to give my input, and then people are like, if they use what you did or said, now they become like, wow, it's almost implied that you start to look up to someone that shared with you some great knowledge, or a different way to do things, or how to succeed at a certain situation. So kudos to you. Again, you're like breaking all these barriers, right? And really doing great things. And like I said, I mean, at the beginning of this interview, Connor couldn't have been more excited to introduce me to you and say, hey, you really need to talk to Kelly. So you've done an incredible job. I keep on thinking like, man, there's no way she's been 90 days, but that's really awesome. And look, the entrepreneur spirit of something that I always think about is, owning the position. And again, you've shown in the first 90 days how you're owning it, right? You feel like you've been there 9 years because you know what? You've put in the work. So tell us a little bit about what your day looks like. When do you wake up? A little bit of a routine of an entrepreneur. What does that day look like for you?
Yeah. So I definitely wake up and do my absolute best to go to the gym so that I, feel like the first part of my day is doing something for me and not, for anybody else. That has been a really important part of just like my psyche and feeling good and all of that. So I go to the gym, come back, chug a whole lot of water, and then I kind of look at my calendar and see what I've got for the day. Basically, all of my demo calls I do a little bit of prep work for. So I, check out what, what this contact has what their journey has been like through Uptown so far. I look at all the call notes that have been taken. I look at the dates of when, how much time has passed. And we try to be really personal and remember some, personal tidbits about whoever we talk to, so that if there's a note that says, hey, she just got back from the Bahamas, so ask how her trip was. I try to take notes of those things. Then I, hop onto these demo calls, which are about 20 to 30 minutes, get to meet awesome people and answer questions and show them what we're all about. I log those calls afterwards so that I can give that info to the rest of the team. And then I kind of rinse and repeat. I also am in charge of the onboarding. So for any new client that comes in, I'm the person that takes that call. I take all of their information on that onboarding sheet. I get them all hooked up to LinkedIn and Calendly and all these things. And that's kind of fun too, because there's an, I've already met them before. So there's this element of friendliness and like, good to see you again. And I've, made some fun connections throughout this. And I basically work from, 10 to 5-ish. I try to do as many jumping jacks throughout the day as I can to like get my blood pumping.
Right.
Eat a lot of grapes and crack and nuts throughout the day. And
Okay.
then from there, I kind of take the night to myself. One of the things that I really love about Uptown is that they trust that, there isn't that feeling of micromanagement on any level. They trust that I'm putting in the amount of time that is necessary to do my job well, probably, and then some, but nobody's kind of breathing down my neck or checking over my shoulder to make sure that happens. So it is this feeling of self betterment or self kind of accountability,
Mhm.
to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward and that I'm, I'm helping out my team. And as you know, I had COVID, so I was kind of down for the count for quite a bit. And luckily, my team stepped in and helped me out. And
Mm.
we have a really good relationship in that way, that nobody felt like, oh God, Kelly's not doing her job. Everyone was like, yeah, of course, take some time off, go rest. One of my coworkers got matzo ball soup sent to my apartment for me.
Oh.
And yeah, so it was, yeah, just like really, really kind. And, that feeling of support rather than micromanagement is, I mean, I don't think it can really even be weighed. It's the end all be all, really, in my experience, which is very limited, let's remember.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but you know what? You earned it too, right? Not only did you obviously kill the interview, but when you started working, it's obvious, it's evident, right? You've owned the first 90 days, and I always equate it to kind of relationships, right?
Mhm.
Those first 90 days, you're probably putting your best foot forward, but in corporate America, you truly have to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. Because it could be those first 90 days that you're being judged very hard. And if you really want to own the intrapreneur space, or even that culture of becoming an entrepreneur, I think you've really started to nail it. So good, kudos for you. So tell us a little bit about just maybe something personal that you said you kind of relax, you take some time. Do you read books? Are you into YouTube channels? Anything that's favorite authors? Things that are kind of self-development things. I know that Connor has some really cool things we didn't get into the first interview that he really wanted to share, but we said that the next interview we're going to do. So is there anything that he's taught you, or upper management and some of the people that you work with? What are some personal things that you're doing to always kind of inner grow?
Yeah, I love that question. Yes, Connor is, I mean, the king of growth and the king of oh man, he is always on this journey to better himself. He's the best. I actually had him for Secret Santa this year, and got
Oh,
him a book called The Saint, the Surfer, and the CEO, which is sounds a bit cliche, but apparently there's some good tidbits in there. Yeah, so I love reading. I read a lot of novels. My favorite author of all time is Frederick Bachman, who's I think he's from Sweden, and the translations of his books are just, I mean, they're so funny, they're so endearing, they're so human. They always just, I wish I could go back in time to before I read those books and then reread them over and over again. I spend a lot of time reading. I also watch a lot of TV, which for me is fun because I get to pretend it's research since I'm an actor. So, watching lots of stuff, enjoying good acting. I really like cooking. In quarantine, got into cooking, have never been into it before, but I just spent like a lot of money on knives. So that's a whole new part of me that I didn't know existed. Um,
Uh-oh.
and we just got a kitten. So I spend a lot of time just like looking at her and being like, you're so cute. How do they make you this cute? Um, so yeah, I mean, I guess like on the surface, it doesn't sound, like I'm, doing all of this digging and this, excavating of all these things. But I also, I'm young, I'm 28, but I'm the oldest person on the Uptown team, which is, I mean, humbling to say the least. Um,
Wow.
but uh, you know, I've spent a lot of time, in theater school and beyond, being very, very self-aware. We basically got graded on being self-aware. Um, and I've spent a lot of time in I love therapy. I love digging through some things. But on my downtime, I've learned over the years to enjoy it, and that not every single moment of the day has to be push, 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 go, challenge. Make it harder on yourself. That doesn't necessarily always, bear the most fruit. And right now, I'm at a point where relaxation and like true self care, sans face masks is really where I'm at. Um, so I do a lot of just relaxing and letting myself be. But in the moments that I am trying to learn and grow and challenge, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love Armchair Expert, which is Dax Shepard's podcast, who's an
Mm.
actor. But every Thursday, he has an expert on experts on expert. So there's a lot of professors of psychology. There's, I mean, the director of the FBI is on there. I mean, they have so many people, and so that's kind of how I try to spend some time critically thinking. One of the people on that podcast recently said, if you're critically thinking in correctly, it should hurt. It should challenge everything and it should hurt. So my hurting thinking is done, periodically throughout the week, and I like to listen to other people's point of view and see if I can't find some middle ground there.
Again, it's a CEO mindset, right? And being the entrepreneur of this position, it sounds like even on your personal time, you're kind of, you're understanding yourself, you're understanding that balance, right? Emotional intelligence seems like you're through the roof.
Mhm.
EQ and all the good things that comes from those types of learnings and understanding. And it would seem like that. If I was a new client to Uptown Creation, I really feel that energy that you kind of walk me through this step by step, and then show me the areas that Uptown Creation can really help. So pretty awesome stuff. So one of the things that we usually end interviews, Kelly, with is the C is for client experience, the E is for employee engagement, and this one I'll just ask maybe kind of your colleagues, that interaction, and then O is for operational excellence. So as an entrepreneur, give us that first interview that we're having here, entrepreneur style. What do you think brings the best of the best to the table as your entrepreneur side for client experience?
Yeah, I think that has to be empathy. I think you've got to find room to see things from other people's point of view, or else you're never going to, um, be able to accurately understand a client's experience.
Mm,
I think that I operate from a more kind of emotional brain than I do a business brain, so to speak, because again, this is something that is very new to me, this whole corporate world. Um, but one of the things that I think is beneficial from that is um, being super sensitive and feeling, not necessarily that you have to take on all of the feelings or thoughts of the client, but understanding from their point of view. I don't think there's anything that can equate to that in terms of giving them an experience that you would want to have.
mm. I love it. And then, when you think about your fellow colleagues, obviously you're at you've been placed in kind of that top six to be able to be a mastermind at a very fast pace. Um, what are some things that you think that between you guys, give us a little inside scoop of what do you guys do for kind of that employee engagement? I know Connor mentioned a couple of things, but I'd love to hear it from your perspective. What really keeps you guys kind of, close together?
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I like that you're trying to get the dirt from me. You didn't get enough from Connor, and you're like, I'm gonna find a way. I like it. I think in terms of the culture of the group, um, one of the things that I think is fun is that we don't often try to be too serious. We don't try to take ourselves too seriously. We always allow for room for playfulness and for fun and for jokes and for picking on one another, which we're aware is not always the best environment, but for the relationships that the company started with like two best friends in college, and
Mhm.
is kind of they added another best friend, and then he added his girlfriend, and that it's kind of this family, so to speak. So the comfort that we have with one another is really fun, and it makes us feel safe, and that also brings about this environment where there really is nothing you can say that's stupid. There's nothing you can say that makes you feel like someone's going to think anything negative, um, because it is such a supportive environment. It feels like anything's fair game. So we're always trying to keep up that culture and that environment. um, and the other thing is that spending some time together, even virtually, when you aren't being paid to, I think is always really helpful. We had a quick, like I said, we had a quick little holiday party where we did a little gift exchange, and just keeping in mind that everyone's a person first, before they're a coworker. I always think is conducive to creating that really healthy environment, and allowing everyone to feel supported and creative.
It's and it's amazing because if I'm correct, Connor's in San Diego, you're
Mhm.
in New York, right? I mean, you guys are all over the place, and
Yeah.
to still be that connected in this virtual world, you got a little secret sauce going, because that's a really impactful way, and I'm not kidding, because it really takes some time sometimes to go to that restaurant together, to
Right.
go through some hardships together, right? To be physically there, and you guys have really done a great job. I mean, I could sense just through Connor and through interviewing you that there's this really cool environment. So thanks for sharing a little bit of that inside scoop. So, and then last one is operational excellence. You kind of walked us through, but what would you say is kind of that differentiator, right? That value proposition that you bring to the table, especially, being the, I think you said it was director of operations, right? So what is the operational excellence when you think about Uptown Creation?
Um, just to clarify, I want to make sure I'm answering the right question. Are you wondering more so about like the way that we as a whole conduct business, or are you wondering more about um, like on the individual level?
No, great question. To recap, and really from the end, from your perspective, the entrepreneurial side, because I really want to have the audience know, I guess you see it corporately. You even shared kind of some dynamics that you've tweaked a little bit. So I guess give us maybe your perspective.
Sure. Um, that's a good one. And even when I heard this question, or saw this question in your email earlier, I was like, this one might stump me. I think in terms of operational excellence, is that the term we're
Mhm.
using? Great. Operational excellence, I think, on an individual level, um, I mean, I feel like it sounds so cliche or vague, but for me, it comes down to listening. Um, I meet with a lot of people throughout the day, and it's really easy to kind of categorize everybody into one bucket, to say everyone needs our services, but it's also easy to categorize them into, five buckets. But
Mhm.
I don't think it's fair to do that. I think really listening to where people's pain points are, and also being honest with myself, and wondering, can I help them? Is this actually a good fit? I don't want someone to hand over money to me if it's just going to, make both of us have a headache down the line.
Mhm.
I want to listen to them, and I want to make sure that I'm addressing their actual concerns. I don't like the game of trying to kind of spin a weakness into a strength. That old interview trick. I like to actually listen to what they're saying, make them feel heard and listened to, and hopefully offer anything, whether that's advice or something that our services could directly alleviate. I want them to feel heard. I want them to feel like I actually understand their issues and what they've experienced in the past, and um, being quite honest about how to move forward. And honestly, I find that when I am that honest and when I am genuinely trying to hear them out, I find more often than not, it is a good match,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, I'm operating from a place of wanting them to have a better experience than they've had in the past. Or if it's their first experience, I want it to be a good one.
That's awesome. So I think, you know what, thanks for taking a few seconds there and kind of thinking about it and feeling vulnerable a little bit and sharing that, hey, you didn't really know, but I think you nailed it, right? A lot of times in sales, operations, marketing, leadership, strategy, all those things that are businessy,
Mhm.
the one lack is listening.
Yeah.
It's actually helped me, to be honest, once I got serious about this channel. I like to talk, so I like to share, I like to speak and all that type of stuff. I probably had maybe a little bit of an inkling of I did Huckleberry Finn was my acting career in third grade or whatever it
Right.
was.
I knew
So,
he was a fellow thespian. I knew.
but it's funny because I love that you said that. I think listening, if we could all get better at that, God gave us two ears and one mouth, right? So really cool that you would include that in operations and really think about that right way. So pretty awesome. So Kelly, I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for being our first intrapreneur.
Yeah.
Excited and Go for CEO community. Please leave a comment for Kelly. I know she'll interact with this, and I'm gonna put it on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on all the mediums, obviously YouTube as well. But Kelly, what is a last word or message that you'd love to share, with the audience, sharing with them from that intrapreneur perspective? What do you think you'd like to share to end the interview here?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to I'm trying to make sure that this is not like a terrible thing to say, but I'm just going to go with my instinct. The first thing that came to my head is qualifications be damned. If you are passionate about something and you feel like you could be a good fit and you are hungry to learn more about it, it doesn't matter what your background is. If you're interested now, do it now.
How about a home run on that one? That was awesome. No, perfect, right? Well, thank you so much, Kelly. One of our goals here at Go for CEO is to have you on in 6 months, not only for the CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs. I want to have the intrapreneurs. I mean, and what a cool story it's going to be for you because you're about to hit 90 days.
Yeah.
6 months from now, you'll be 9 months with this company and really just owning your position. So thank
Awesome.
you so much. Appreciate your time. And if you have some other people that I always welcome those referrals. But hey, by the way, Go for CEO community, if you're new to the channel, look, we're interviewing CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, okay? But not just famous people, not just Mark Cuban, nothing against him, but real people. Kelly went to school for acting and she's in this incredible other business venue and she's owned it. So I'm thankful to having people like Kelly even give me a chance to interview her. Thank you so much, Kelly. And hey, remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and leave a comment for Kelly.